Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. In today's video, we're going to talk about Trump's accusation of China basically interfering with the elections in 2020. So basically, he's calling it Chinagate. I'm also going to be talking about Trump's insider trading in Truth Social. I'm going to be talking about this guy who's destroying IBM. I'm also going to be talking about Trump wanting all of the Gulf countries to pay for the Iran war. We will be talking about all of the latest attacks that's happening, including this bridge in Bahrain being blown up. So guys, let's start the show. So President Trump has started his own Chinagate. He claims that China was involved in the 2020 election where Biden won and Trump lost. And as you know, I believe it was 2016 that there was a Russiagate, and people were accusing Russia of interfering with the elections when Trump won. Now he's accusing China. He's not accusing Israel. I mean, Israel affects the United States election. They have both hands in the pie. Netanyahu knows exactly who will win in the elections. Before Trump won in 2024, Netanyahu was going around telling everyone that Trump won the election before even the results came out. We know that AIPAC controls most of the Congress, Senate, and House. So it really doesn't matter for Israel whoever wins, whether it's Democrats or Republics. Whoever wins, Israel always wins. They will never ever blame Israel for anything. However, they will come up with boogeymen. They will say it's Russia or China. So let me tell you something about China. They don't give flying monkeys who wins, whether it's Trump or Biden. The policies are still the same. When Biden came in, he still had the same sanctions on China. He still added sanctions on China. In fact, Biden was probably much worse and more stricter than Trump. So it really doesn't make any difference for China, whether it's Democrat, whether it's Republic. They both, they're both anti-China hawks. It really doesn't matter. They have no idea, no idea. He also mentioned that Iran was involved, and he also mentioned North Korea was involved in election rigging. I mean, why the hell would North Korea be involved in American politics? Can anyone tell me? Why should they care whether it's Democrats or Republics? North Korea have been isolated by both Democrats and Republics. So another thing was Trump actually, as you know, went to China not long ago. He had the begging bowl asking China for help to give, money to America and buy some treasuries and bonds, and he was basically with the begging bowl. And China did feel a bit sorry for him, so China decided to buy some more wheat and soybeans, some Boeing planes, and that's about it. He wanted rare earths from China. China refused. He wanted a lot of stuff from China, and China refused. But the main thing he wanted from China is not to give Iran any weapons or any help. Again, China refused. So he didn't really get anything from China apart from a few handouts because China felt sorry for him. And he's always saying things like, I get on very well with China. I get on very well with Xi." So which one is it? Does he get along with China, or is China basically affecting the elections to vote him out? It's either one or the other. You can't have both. It's just full of contradictions. The funny thing is, his speech, not many people listened to it. And he was on prime time as well. Apparently, the viewership was very low. And what's worse is none of the other news articles are covering this because they know it's all BS. Even Fox News refused to talk about it or cover it. So he's just making himself look like a fool. I mean, why make China an enemy at this particular time? Especially when there's a war going on with Iran. Because all this will do is China will help Iran much, much more. And they will make sure Iran does not lose. And this is the time for diplomacy. I mean, he should, he's losing allies left, right, and center. Looks like he's trying to make enemies out of everyone. He's making enemies out of Russia because he's allowed Ukrainians to hit Russian cities. So ceasefire's out the question. That war's gonna end in the battlefield. Now he's making enemies out of China. He's obviously making enemies out of Iran. And the Gulf countries, they all hate him. They have got no choice but to be puppets. Because they have allowed themselves to become puppets. They have no sovereignty. It's their own fault. And Trump is also saying that he's gonna want compensation for from the Gulf countries for the war costs. This is what he says. He says, "I want our costs covered because we are protecting a very wealthy region of the world." So this war he's having with Iran, he's going to get the Gulf countries to pay for it. What's worse, the Gulf countries are going to have to pay toll fees to Iran to use the Strait of Hormuz or Strait of Persia and the Bab el-Mandeb as well. So Trump is going to make sure these Gulf countries are broke by the end of the year. They say that to be a friend of United States is fatal. And the Gulf countries are finding that out very, very fast. So what's happening in the Gulf at the moment? As you can see, they are being absolutely smashed. This is what I've been saying for the past few months, guys. Iran needs to keep the pressure up. And if you look at my Iran video on how Iran will win, I said that they have to focus on these Gulf countries first, take out all of the military bases, all the US military bases, and they have to force a regime change in these Gulf countries. And they need to focus all of their firepower on these Gulf countries and take them out one by one. If they can take out Bahrain first, then focus on UAE, then Qatar, and finally Saudi Arabia. If they can regime change all of these countries, then they can focus on Israel. Because that would mean that Israel cannot use, or United States cannot use any of the airspace in these countries to attack Iran. They won't be able to use any of the bases because they'll be all destroyed. and it's going to cost United States hundreds of billions to rebuild them again, and they are not going to do that because they just don't have the money. So that's why I said, this is exactly what they need to do. Just focus on the Gulf countries and, push the United States military out and force a regime change. Because I can tell you something, the people do not like their governments in these Gulf countries. They know they're major puppets. So once the American bases are out, these Gulf leaders are toast. So apparently Iran has destroyed this bridge which connects Bahrain to Saudi Arabia. And this bridge is a lifeline for Bahrain because it sends all of the supplies to Bahrain, and also Saudi Arabia protect Bahrain by sending lots of military gear and things like that. Their economy runs on this bridge as well. So if Iran can destroy this bridge, it'll be much easier to take out Bahrain because they won't have the supplies. United States has apparently destroyed some bridges in Iran as well, so this will be a like for like. There's oil facilities and American HIMARS being destroyed all over Kuwait and Bahrain, and UAE as well. So this is what they need to do. Finish off the Gulf countries first, and then they can focus on, Israel and United States, and fight a long war with them. So the Yemenis, Ansar Allah, will block the Bab el Mandeb. So I'm not sure if this has been confirmed yet, but I think they will be doing that. The only reason is taking a bit longer than usual is because I believe they're waiting for supplies from Iran, weapons, drones, missiles. Because for you to be able to protect that narrow piece of sea, you need to be able to, have the right weapons and gear and drones and missiles to protect it. So I think that's why it's taken Yemen so long. Once they're ready, I believe they'll be closing it just like Iran has. And Saudi Arabia is going to be toast because Saudi Arabia has not been affected through the Strait of Hormuz because they have been sending all of their traffic through Bab el Mandeb. So once that is closed, Saudi Arabia is going to be toast, and so will Israel because Israel has been sending a lot of stuff through there as well. And it's going to shoot up the oil price even faster. The American reserves are going to go down faster. Inflation is going to be going up. Stock market is going to be going down. Bond prices are going to be going up. So things are not looking good for the United States on the economic front, or the rest of the world for that matter. Iran, in the meantime, just needs to survive and prolong this war as long as possible. Because what we know about United States, they do not like long wars. They hate long wars. Once the check comes through the door and the invoice needs paying, that's when the problems will come. That's when America will be like, okay, you know what, we can't afford this, we need to get out. And I'm sure they will get out eventually. My guess is probably after the midterms when Trump gets a huge hammering in the midterms. I believe that's when America will decide to pull out because I believe because he will lose the midterms badly. I think there will be people trying to impeach him, and I believe that's when they will pull out. So Iran needs to survive until then. Iran has made a list of targets. Apparently, Trump has got a lot of properties in Dubai and Qatar, Bahrain. All of these are Trump properties. and they are all under Iranian missile targets. I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. One thing Trump doesn't like is losing money, and this is going to lose him a lot of money, guys. His Trump empire is going to crumble overnight. It's not going to be safe to live in any Trump towers anywhere around the world. So I think it's a great idea. Somebody messaged me today. They said that this war actually suits United States because they are selling more oil to the rest of the world because the Strait of Hormuz and Bab el Mandeb will be closed. Rest of the world will buy energy, gas, oil from United States at a really high price. So it suits the Americans. So I replied to that and I said, yeah, it suits the American oil companies, but it doesn't suit the Americans. The ordinary American people are paying higher at the gas. They are suffering. They have to pay higher for inflation. It's only the American oil execs are making the most of the money. They are not sharing that money with the rest of the Americans. So that's how it works. These execs take it all like a monopoly game. They take everything, and it's the poor Americans that have to pay for it all. And what's worse is, American fracking is only a limited resource, and eventually it's going to run out. And it's becoming harder and harder for American companies to extract that oil and gas using fracking. Every year goes by, it becomes more expensive, becomes harder, because you're practically squeezing oil from rock. That's what you're doing. So in the beginning, it's easy because all of that, oil that you're squeezing is near the surface. But over time, you have to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it becomes more and more expensive. So selling all this oil to the rest of the world, yeah, they might make a lot of money in the short term, but they are basically kicking themselves in the foot, because eventually all of the easy oil that they're getting is going to run out, and they're going to have to go in deeper and deeper, and things are going to get more expensive. And this is not going to be good for the American public, because they're going to have to pay higher for gas. And also, one of the reasons why American oil is, low is because they've been releasing the strategic oil reserves. The strategic oil reserves is going to run out in the next few weeks as well. And once that runs out, there's going to be a massive shock in the oil price. And you're going to see oil price shoot up, probably 150, probably even 200. Because if America's run out of the strategic oil reserves, that's a major issue. You're going to see all the countries around the world scramble for oil and gas. And the countries who are going to be affected most are, countries like United States, who are the biggest oil, not only the biggest oil producers, but also they use the most oil. And countries like India with a huge population that need oil as well. And other countries like in the EU, they need oil and gas. And Japan, South Korea, they will be really affected, majorly affected. China is actually not going to be that much effective. They have been selling EV cars like hotcakes. And they have got a huge strategic reserve as well, which they're not using. So plus they get oil from Russia, from Iran as well, and other countries as well. So China doesn't have the same problems that the rest of the West does. Russia obviously doesn't have the problem because they make a huge number of oil and they can cope, with that. They can cope with that. So yeah, the countries which will be affected is mainly India and obviously Japan, South Korea, all of America's friends. Talking about India, let's talk about this guy. So this guy has basically run IBM to the ground, absolutely run IBM to the ground. So this is IBM's share price, stock price. It's falling off a cliff. So IBM used to be one of the best tech companies in the world, and I used to work for IBM as well, for a short time. And they used to be the best tech company. So what happened? Basically, they started outsourcing. They started replacing all of their American workers with H-1B visas, Indians, and they started outsourcing all of their work to India. So IBM has now become an Indian company. Their main headquarters now are in India, and they employ more people in India than they do in the United States or the rest of the world. And all of their operations now are in India. So all of the tech operations, developers, hardware, software, everything happens in India because they've outsourced everything to India. But this is the problem, right? I mean, that's the issue. I mean, IBM when IBM was first, you know, one of the biggest tech companies in the world, they didn't have a team of Indians. They had a team of Americans because IBM was based in America. Then they branched out to Europe and other countries like Japan, South Korea. They had really strong, intelligent people working for the company. And now they've outsourced everything to India. I mean, Indians, right? I've got no issues with Indians, by the way. But they have advantages, but they have huge disadvantages as well. I know because I work with Indians a lot. And I got replaced by Indians in my job as well. 3 times I got replaced. And they might be good, technically, they might be good, but they have very, in terms of critical thinking, they're not very good. They're not very good in other roles as well. For example, they're not very good with communication. They're not very good. It's really difficult to communicate with Indians, and mainly critical thinking, really. And they're not very good on their feet. When there's problems happen, they tend to panic, and they panic really badly. They cannot handle pressure. So there's a lot of advantages plus a lot of disadvantages. And this is the problem. When you outsource everything to India, no company does well. I've not seen any company does very well with the Indian 100% team. Even even in the United States, all the companies that, get a lot of Indians H-1B visas, they tend to balance the skills with, workers from America, workers from China, workers from Europe. So they have a nice balance, even level of skill sets from different parts of the world. But when you have Indian only, this is what happens to your company. It goes down a cliff. And whose fault is that? I'm not blaming the Indians here because obviously they have taken full advantage. And what Indians tend to do is they tend to save money. They tend to sack all the American workers and just hire Indian workers. That's why there's so many Indian CEOs in tech companies. They are CEOs for a reason because they know how to save money. And what do? That's exactly how they save money. They don't save money by innovation. They save money by cutting the American and Western workforce and replacing them with Indians. And they look at the balance sheet end of the year and they see a profit, and they get clapped. They say, "Oh, well done, good job, good job. You saved the balance sheet. You basically saved 10 million from the balance sheet. You've outsourced all the work to India. Well done, congratulations." But the quality of work goes down. That's not, saving the balance sheet. They don't seem to understand the business model. No company can survive in this kind of model. But people are waking up, guys. People are waking up. While they're busy attacking Muslims around the world, saying Islam is the problem, Indians have been slowly taking over the tech sector in America, and also other jobs as well, all over America. Indians have had an easy ride last few years. Americans have been blaming China, Russia, Muslims. Those were the enemies of America, and they've been focusing on them. And then now suddenly they're realizing, hang on a second, while we're focusing on them, Indians have been slowly taking over the jobs in our countries with H1B. Initially, H1B was supposed to be a visa system only for the best and brightest. But the companies and Indians have taken full advantage. Companies have realized they can save a lot of money by hiring H1B visa Indians and replacing them with ordinary Americans, and they can save salary costs. And there's like millions of Indians turning up in Western countries with fake certificates, fake degrees, fake experience, fake everything. When I had Indians working with me and working for me, when I used to ask them a question, or when I used to, try and understand if there's a problem, try and understand what they know, what they don't know, they could never give me a straight answer. And then what they used to do, they said, well, we'll check and come back to you. And they used to message their friends in India with the problem in front of me. They used to go on WhatsApp. They have this WhatsApp group, and they used to message people in there. They used to say, "Oh, how do you fix this problem?" And reply would come back straight away within minutes. And then they would look at the WhatsApp message, and they will guide them to a document or how to fix it guide, and they will open that and they will do that. That's how they get by with fake degrees and fake experience. They have a big WhatsApp group that tells them what to do, how to work effectively in their job. So yes, that's how they've been taking over the West, guys. And talking of India, I saw this graph. So these are all of the countries who have favorable views of China. And then you have one country here which has the most unfavorable view of China, and it's India. Indians still hate China more than any other country, more than Pakistan, more than anyone. And it's just pure jealousy, guys. Pure jealousy. According to them, they should have been the next superpower, but they failed. So who do they blame? They blame China for it. Anyway, guys, I'll end it there, and I'll see you in the next video. Let me know what you guys think. Take care for now.